Abby Lee Miller is speaking out in her first post-prison interview, and she is not holding back.
Dance Mom star Christi Lukasiak was arrested for driving under the influence.
Today, we're diving deep into the legal battles that have plagued the Dance Moms cast over the years. From lawsuits filed by the show's young dancers to the legal troubles that landed Abby Lee Miller behind bars, we're covering it all. In this first segment, we're breaking down Paige Hyland's 2014 lawsuit against Abby Lee Miller, one of the most shocking legal disputes in reality TV history. To understand this lawsuit, we need to go back to where it all began. Paige Hyland was one of the original members of the Abby Lee Dance Company, featured on Dance Moms. Alongside her older sister Brooke, Paige was known as the goofy fun dancer from the ALDC team. But behind the scenes, there were growing tensions between the Hyland family and Abby Lee Miller, the notoriously strict dance coach who led the team. Throughout multiple seasons, viewers watched as Abby regularly clashed with Paige's mother, Kelly Hyland, who used to be a student of her own. The tension was palpable. Kelly often pushed back against Abby's harsh teaching style, and Paige was frequently caught in the crossfire. However, what many fans didn't realize at the time was just how deeply these conflicts were affecting the young dancers' emotional well-being. Fast forward to October 2014, when Paige, at just 13 years old, filed a lawsuit against Abby Lee Miller, alleging that she had been subjected to assault and emotional distress. The lawsuit also pointed fingers at the show's producers, accusing them of deliberately fostering a toxic environment to boost ratings.
I think all the kids are scared of Abby.
Kelly filed suit in February, and her 13-year-old daughter Paige just yesterday, claiming that Abby was cruel to the dancers, made them cry, called them weak, and even pinched one student until she bled.
Your daughter is holding a national title, and I will take it away in a minute!
Do you think she ever takes it too far?
No.
But back in 2011 with Brooke, Kelly and her daughter were on Team Abby.
What do you think about all of this?
I like it.
You do?
Paige would come more if she could. And I know when she's correcting my kids, she's just trying to make them better. You know, a lot of times Paige's feelings get hurt because she takes things to heart.
Today, Abby had no comment on Paige's lawsuit.
So what exactly did Paige claim in her lawsuit? Well, here are the key allegations. Verbal and emotional abuse. Paige alleged that Abby Lee Miller's behavior was far beyond tough coaching. According to the lawsuit, Abby's actions caused significant psychological trauma that left Paige struggling with anxiety and panic attacks. Physical intimidation. The lawsuit claimed that Abby's aggressive conduct went beyond just words. There were instances where Abby was alleged to have physically intimidated Paige, causing her to fear her own safety. And then a hostile reality TV environment. One of the most shocking claims in the lawsuit was that Dance Moms producers intentionally exacerbated conflicts between Abby and the young dancers to create more dramatic television. This raised ethical concerns about the extent to which reality TV manufactures drama at the expense of its participants' well-being, even in this case with children. Now, let's talk about the legal battle that followed. Filing a lawsuit is one thing, but proving allegations in a courtroom is an entirely different challenge, especially when the lawsuit involves a minor and a major television production company. Paige's case was particularly tricky because it relied heavily on claims of emotional distress, which can be difficult to quantify in legal terms. Unlike physical assault cases where there is often tangible evidence, proving emotional harm requires expert testimony and substantial documentation. And another hurdle, Abby Lee Miller and her legal team fought back hard. They denied any wrongdoing and argued that Abby's tough coaching style, while intense, was not abusive. Additionally, they claimed that Paige was contractually obligated to participate in the show and that reality TV inherently comes with high-pressure situations. So, what happened? After months of legal back and forth, Paige Hyland's lawsuit was ultimately dismissed in 2015. The judge inevitably ruled that there was insufficient evidence to proceed with the case, and as a result, Paige did not receive any legal compensation for her claims. This outcome left many Dance Moms fans divided. Some felt that Paige deserved justice and that reality TV industry had failed to protect a young performer's mental health. And I'm on that page because while we've seen Paige on the show, I feel like she was abused many times in my own opinion. And that what I saw on the show in my own perspective through my own eyes was definitely psychological torture and emotional abuse. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Others believe that Abby Lee Miller was simply a tough coach who pushed her dancers to be the best, which, although true, it was still abusive in my opinion. While the lawsuit may have been dismissed, it was not the only legal battle involving the Hyland family. In fact, Paige's mother, Kelly Hyland, soon found herself at the center of a legal legal firestorm after a physical altercation with Abby Lee Miller during a rehearsal. But what really happened that day, and how did it lead to Kelly filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit? Stay tuned as we break it down in the next segment. During a rehearsal, an argument between Kelly and Abby escalated into a physical confrontation. You may remember this as the eating my face moment. In the heat of the moment, Kelly allegedly slapped Abby, an altercation that was caught on camera and quickly became a major scandal. As a result, Kelly was charged with assault and harassment. The incident divided fans. Some believed Kelly was justified in defending herself and her daughters, while others saw it as an unacceptable escalation of the ongoing tension. Kelly was soon facing legal repercussions, though. She was arrested and charged with misdemeanor assault and harassment, forcing her to appear in court to fight the accusations. Her defense claimed that she had been provoked by years of mistreatment and that the environment on Dance Moms was intentionally engineered to create. Ultimately, in 2015, the criminal charges against Kelly were dropped, bringing an end to the assault case. However, Kelly wasn't finished with legal action. She turned around and filed a $5 million lawsuit against Abby Lee Miller and the production company behind Dance Moms. In the lawsuit, she alleged defamation and emotional distress, claiming that the show had portrayed her in an unfairly negative light, damaging her reputation. She argued that the reality TV environment had been manipulated to provoke extreme reactions and that Abby had mistreated both her and her daughters for the sake of entertainment. Despite the explosive claims in Kelly's lawsuit, it didn't hold up in court. Much like her daughter Paige's lawsuit, Kelly's case was ultimately dismissed, leaving her without the legal victory she had sought after. The dismissal of the lawsuit marked the end of the Hylands' legal battles against Abby Lee Miller and Dance Moms, and shortly afterward, they parted ways with the show entirely.
What happened in your opinion?
The minute a parent crosses the line, finished. I was absolutely appalled at the situation. I just thought I was having a nightmare. I didn't think this was possible.
Look, let's be real. You jumped up.
No, it's never scripted. Don't you think Kelly could have actually spoken sentences if it was scripted?
Oh.
For anyone that lives in California, about 4 months ago, the judge of the Supreme Court threw her case out. And this past Thursday, what day is today? Saturday? So not this Thursday, the Thursday before, the Supreme Court Justice, is that a woman? Yes, right? Yeah. She threw out the Paige case too.
But while Kelly Hyland's legal troubles were coming to an end, Abby Lee Miller's were just beginning. Just a year later, she found herself at the center of a massive federal investigation, one that would eventually send her to prison.
Nobody is going to talk to me that way. No one!
Abby Lee Miller, known for her over-the-top screaming fits on her hit show Dance Moms, faces 30 months behind bars.
I'm not. That wasn't on. I just got a phone call from my attorney. I was expecting some news.
In the fall of 2015, what started as a routine bankruptcy proceeding evolved into one of the most significant financial crime cases in reality television history. Abby Lee Miller, who we know had risen to prominence through Lifetime's hit show Dance Moms, found herself at the center of a federal investigation that would ultimately change the trajectory of her career and personal life.
Now in this Inside Edition exclusive, Miller breaks down in tears as she talks about the prospect of going to prison.
What is your greatest fear?
The fear of the unknown is great, but also the stories that you hear, about being abused physically.
The dance instructor was indicted on 20 counts of fraud after she failed to report a whopping $755,000 in income from her show and other assets when she filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 2010.
The case began when bankruptcy judge Thomas Agresti was watching television one evening and happened to click on Dance Moms. Something caught his attention. The show appeared to be doing extremely well, which seemed at odds with Miller's bankruptcy filing.
She claims things got worse when a judge saw a commercial for a spinoff of her Lifetime network show and thought she might be hiding income from the bankruptcy court.
When the bankruptcy judge was flipping through the channels and saw an ad for another show, that judge said,
bingo, she's making a lot of money that we're not seeing.
This chance viewing prompted him to take a closer look at her bankruptcy case from 2010 when she had claimed her dance studio was struggling financially. Upon deeper investigation, federal prosecutors uncovered a complex web of financial deception. Miller had filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in December 2010, claiming her dance studio, the Abby Lee Dance Company, was in financial distress. However, during the bankruptcy proceedings, which lasted from 2012 to to 2013, Miller experienced a significant increase in income thanks to her rising television fame.
She claims she's not as financially successful as people might think. She's asking the judge for probation. Not knowing if she's going to prison is tormenting her.
This is my hell on earth.
Either way, she promises she will be back.
What do you want your fans to know?
I'll survive.
This is where the legal troubles began. The federal investigation revealed that Miller had systematically concealed approximately $755,000 in income from various sources. This money came from multiple revenue streams, including payment for appearances on Dance Moms and its spin-off shows, income from master dance classes she conducted across the country, revenue from merchandise sales, including dance attire and promotional items, fees from public appearances and speaking engagements, income from her dance studio operations, among other things. To hide this money, prosecutors found that Miller had created several secret bank accounts. She would direct payments into these accounts rather than declaring them in her bankruptcy proceedings. Furthermore, she was found to have structured certain deposits to be under $10,000 to avoid mandatory bank reporting requirements, a practice known as structuring that itself is a federal crime.
She pleaded guilty to concealing or failing to report assets, which she blames on her own mistakes.
Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, oh, okay, now how can I cheat everybody out of this or that? That doesn't happen.
There's a difference between a mistake and a crime.
I feel I took bad advice. I can't blame others. I have to take the blame.
She says her financial trouble started when she learned she owed $37,000 in back taxes on her dance studio and says she was advised to file for bankruptcy.
If I had to do it all over again, I'd ask 37 people for $1,000 each.
The indictment, when it came in 2015, was extensive. Miller faced 20 counts of bankruptcy fraud, concealment of bankruptcy assets, and false bankruptcy declarations.
It could be good news or it could be bad news.
Each count carried a potential penalty of 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine, meaning she theoretically faced up to 100 years in prison and millions of dollars in fines. After initially maintaining her innocence, Miller accepted a plea deal in June 2016. She pleaded guilty to 1 count of concealing bankruptcy assets and 1 count of structuring international monetary transactions. During her emotional plea hearing, Miller acknowledged the gravity of her actions, admitting that she had made, quote, mistakes and accepting responsibility for her crimes. The sentencing phase, however, proved to be yet another dramatic chapter. In May 2017, after several delays, Chief Judge Joy Flowers-Conti delivered Miller's sentence, 1 year and 1 day in federal prison. This specific sentence length was strategic. By adding that extra day to a 1-year sentence, Miller became eligible for her early release for good behavior under federal prison guidelines. Additionally, she was ordered to pay a $40,000 fine and a separate $120,000 judgment representing the values she failed to report. Miller began serving her sentence at the Victorville Federal Correctional Institution in California on July 12, 2017.
Abby can't handle any more dramatic allegations. She's already dealt with so many things, and this is the straw that just broke the camel's back.
I got you, girl. Peace out. Do not wreck my new car. I'll care for you every day. Wait, I'm panicked about the French onion dip. I'm gonna freak out. Do we know where the French onion dip is? No. No. Dee said it was in here. This is a book called White Collar Club. Before embarking on your journey to Club Fed, you may be pleasantly surprised to find out the following similarities to Club Med. Everyone arrives single. Food is inclusive, as are all activities. Everyone is on vacation from work and family. No cash is needed or accepted. Dress code is casual and comfy.
Yeah, totally. 4 minutes, I'm in contact with you already.
Okay, thank you. Just take $200 with you. No cash.
What are you guys here for?
We're turning Ms. Miller in?
Miss Miller?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have an ID, please?
During her incarceration, she maintained some public presence through social media posts managed by her team and even used her time to work on a new book. She was released early on March 27, 2018, after serving about 8 months and was transferred to a halfway house in Long Beach, California. The conditions of her release included a 2-year period of supervised release, during which she had to report regularly to a probation officer and could not open new bank accounts or travel outside the country without permission. She was also required to give DNA samples and submit to drug testing. Not really sure why, but it is what it is.
Earlier this year, Abby described her case as an absolute witch hunt on Bethany Frankel's Just Be podcast and alleged Melissa Gassoni, who is mom to Maddie Ziegler and Mackenzie Ziegler, was in charge of all the money. Melissa was never charged in relation to Abby's bankruptcy fraud case and did not respond to Abby's allegations. Abby alleged on the May 9th podcast, "What the show did and the moms did is ruin my business. They destroyed my business."
I have already been through the ringer. Nobody is going to talk to me that way. No one!
The TV personality known for over-the-top screaming fits on Dance Moms is now in a wheelchair, unable to walk after cancer ravaged her spine. She opened up to Jim Murray.
Is this frustrating for you?
It's frustrating. It's very frustrating.
This is Abby Lee's first interview since serving 8 months in federal prison for bankruptcy fraud.
The first day was the worst day for me. They tried to rip my eyelashes off that were extensions.
She says her thyroid and diabetes medications were taken away when she was thrown into solitary confinement after she says she was falsely accused of posting this photo of herself in prison with visitors.
I would have strange guards that were never in our unit, that I never saw before, walk in and ask other girls, "Hey, where's that Dance Moms lady? Where's that dance lady? I'm going to get her." And then they come to your locker, they take a can of red soda pop, shake it up, open it, and spray it all over your clothes.
Abby had gastric bypass surgery before going to prison. In total, she lost 127 pounds behind bars. Since her release, she's gained back 40. Now, Abby Lee is about to make a return to Dance Moms and wants to put her time in federal prison behind her.
Do you have a sense of, yeah, I know I did something wrong?
Yes.
This case marked a significant turning point in Miller's life and career, fundamentally changing how she operated her business affairs moving forward. However, as she would soon discover, this would not be her last encounter with the legal system, because in January 2022, Abby Lee Miller filed a lawsuit that would once again thrust her into the national spotlight, this time as a plaintiff rather than as a defendant. The $15 million lawsuit against Hampton Inn & Suites in Santa Monica, California, centered around a deeply personal incident that occurred in 2020 during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. The circumstances leading to the lawsuit began on March 27, 2020, when Miller was staying at the Hampton Inn & Suites. Miller, who had been wheelchair-bound since her battle with Burkitt lymphoma in 2018, a rare form of cancer that left her with significant mobility issues, alleges she experienced a traumatic incident that would form the basis of her legal action. According to the lawsuit's detailed filing, Miller encountered serious difficulties when attempting to enter her hotel bathroom. The core of her complaint centered around the hotel room's bathroom door, which she claimed was not properly equipped for wheelchair access. As she attempted to enter the bathroom, Miller states that she found herself trapped between the door and her wheelchair. What followed, according to her legal documents, was a harrowing experience where she was stuck for several hours. The lawsuit outlined several specific claims of negligence. For one, the hotel had failed to provide proper wheelchair accessibility in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as the ADA. The bathroom door was not equipped with the necessary clearance for wheelchair access. Hotel staff were inadequately trained to assist guests with disabilities, and the incident caused both physical and emotional distress. Miller's legal team presented evidence that during this ordeal she attempted to free herself from the situation, but ultimately fell from her wheelchair onto the floor. The court documents detail that she was trapped on the bathroom floor for approximately 6 hours, unable to reach her phone to call for help. The filing states that when she was finally discovered, she had suffered various injuries, including shoulder abrasions and bruising. The $15 million figure in the lawsuit breaks down into several categories of damages. For one, compensation for physical injuries sustained during the incident, damages for emotional distress and mental anguish, punitive damages aimed at encouraging better compliance with ADA regulations, compensation for ongoing medical expenses related to the injury, injuries, and damages for loss of earning capacity due to the incident. Beyond the monetary demands, Miller's lawsuit sought to achieve broader changes in hotel industry practices. Her legal team emphasized the need for better staff training and improved accessibility measures across all Hampton Inn & Suites properties. They argued that the incident highlighted a larger problem of inadequate accommodation for disabled guests in the hospitality industry. The lawsuit also detailed Miller's ongoing struggles since her cancer treatment and how this incident exacerbated the physical and emotional challenges she was already facing. Her legal team presented evidence of her previous medical conditions, including her spinal surgery and cancer treatment, to demonstrate her increased vulnerability and the hotel's heightened duty of care. As of early 2023, the lawsuit remained in active litigation, with both sides engaging in extensive discovery processes. Hampton Inn & Suites parent company, Hilton Hotels, responded to the lawsuit by stating they were investigating the incident thoroughly and remained committed to maintaining accessible accommodations for all guests. The case has garnered significant attention not only because of Miller's celebrity status, but also because it highlights important issues regarding accessibility in public accommodations. Disability rights advocates have pointed to this case as an example of the ongoing challenges faced by individuals with mobility issues, even in establishments that are required by law to provide appropriate accommodations. Legal experts following this case have noted its potential to set important precedents regarding hotel liability and ADA compliance. The substantial damages sought could also influence how hotels approach their accessibility policies and staff training programs in the future. This lawsuit represents a significant shift in Miller's legal narrative, from being a defendant in her previous legal battles to becoming an advocate for disability rights through the civil litigation. The outcome of this case could have far-reaching implications not only for Miller personally, but for the broader conversation about accessibility in public spaces. Then, the last lawsuit we're going to be talking about is Dance Moms star Christi Lukasiak, who was charged with a DUI after her crash in Westmoreland County.
Dance Mom star Christi Lukasiak was arrested for driving under the influence after being involved in a violent car crash last month, according to documents reviewed by E! News. Christi was on the Lifetime show with her daughter Chloe and is also mom to daughter Clara. She's currently awaiting a preliminary hearing and will appear before a judge for sentencing on August 13th in Murrysville, Pennsylvania, or a first offense DUI. She has not yet made a plea. However, Christi pleaded guilty to operating a vehicle without a valid inspection, violating rules/regulations of Pennsylvania Turnpike, and exceeding a 35 miles per hour speed limit by 5 miles per hour, according to documents obtained by E! News.
Christi Lukasiak, who's usually known as the most unspoken mom from Dance Moms of all time, was involved in a significant car accident in Murrysville, Pennsylvania. Driving her Audi Q7, she collided with a tree, resulting in a telephone pole precariously hanging over her vehicle. Upon arrival, Murrysville police officers observed that Lukasiak exhibited several signs of impairment. She had bloodshot and glassy eyes, slurred speech, and of course the odor of alcohol on her breath. Lukasiak admitted to consuming 2 glasses of wine at the Wooden Nickel, a local establishment, before dropping off a friend in Plume. She consented to a preliminary breath test, which indicated the presence of alcohol. Additionally, she underwent standard field sobriety tests, after which officers concluded she was impaired and unable to operate the vehicle safely. Christi declined to submit a blood test to determine the exact blood alcohol content. This incident marked Christi's first DUI charge. However, records indicate that she had prior traffic violations in 2014, 2015, and 2021. A preliminary hearing was scheduled for August 13, 2024.
The crash, which took place on June 28th, saw Christi's vehicle hit a tree and leave a telephone pole hanging over her car, according to a police report obtained by TMZ. The 47-year-old exhibited signs of bloodshot eyes and slurred speech, according to the report, as well as admitted to having 2 glasses of wine. E! News has reached out to Christi's attorney for comment, but has not yet heard back.
Christi's preliminary hearing is now over. Christi then had a DUI ARD hearing on September 18th. Christi may already be under restrictions or on an optional program, and the result of her DUI ARD hearing dependent on her adherence to these, but no details are available as of yet that I can personally find online, so let me know if you've heard anything down in the comments below. So one of the biggest reasons American courts don't crack down hard on traffic violations like speeding, driving under the influence, and distracted driving is how car-centric American society is. Courts are highly aware that removing someone's license may prevent them from being able to work, get groceries, take their children to school, or attend medical appointments. They are very aware of how many people feel pressured to drive anyway, facing more citations and fines and restrictions that they need to drive anyway through until some breaking point. Not that that in any way excuses Christi's drunk driving, but it may provide some kind of insight as to why we haven't heard of any extensive repercussions due to her actions. The lawsuits surrounding dance moms paint a complex picture of the dark side of reality TV, one filled with legal battles, emotional turmoil, and the consequences of pushing young talent to the absolute extreme limits. While the show brought fame and opportunities to so many, it also exposed the pressures, conflicts, and exploitation from behind the scenes. From contract disputes to accusations of emotional and physical harm, these legal battles serve as a reminder that the entertainment industry isn't always as glamorous as it seems. As we look back on the legacy of dance moms, one thing is clear: the real drama wasn't just on the stage, it was in the courtroom.